as he is set to. Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
You're here for a press conference to kind of talk about our partnership on a local, state, and federal level. As you can see, we have quite a few folks behind us. I'm going to start off with Governor DeWine, who's going to say a few things, then we'll move down the line. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Chief Drummond. I want to thank Mayor Bibb, Public Safety Director Howard, Prosecutor O'Malley. We're also going to hear today from Major Hendricks, the Ohio State Highway Patrol. Starting when I was a very young county prosecuting attorney, I learned that the best way for me to understand what was going on, particularly in the area of the crime problem, was to go out and to meet with the men and women who deal with this every single day. So we just concluded a meeting, a very good, frank discussion about exactly what is going on in Cleveland. I also had the opportunity today to go up with the Ohio State Highway Patrol in the helicopter. We were up for about 40 minutes and just watched what they do, watched what the patrol on the ground was doing and what the Cleveland PD on the ground was doing. 40 minutes up, they had a productive time. Ended up with 4 arrests and 4 guns seized just in that brief 40-minute period of time. This is, as the chief has said, is really, I think, about cooperation and working together. As I said, I came here to meet with men and women who are directly involved in dealing with this problem. I also brought with me our Safety Director, Andy Wilson, the Ohio State Department of Public Safety, Director Annette Chambers-Smith of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, Director Amy Ast of the Ohio Department of Youth Services, as well as Ohio State Highway Patrol Officer Major Hendricks, who oversees field operations in this area. Each one of these departments is involved in one way or the other in the surge that we have going on here in Cleveland. The state, along with the police department, along with our other agencies, started this surge yesterday. We know that most violent crime is committed by repeat offenders. These are people who are not legally allowed to possess a firearm, yet they do anyway. All too often, innocent victims are hurt. And I listened to the chief and Prosecutor O'Malley talk a moment ago about young children who recently have been killed here in Cleveland. And frankly, it breaks your heart. Every parent has the right to be able to raise their children and to live in a neighborhood that is free of crime and free of violence. And so that really is what this is all about. It is an effort to allow these families to live and to raise their kids and to allow these communities to thrive. And no community can thrive, no community can do well when they're worried about violence, when they're worried about crime. Since the time I took office, my request to the State Highway Patrol, what I've told the State Highway Patrol to do is to work with local units of government. We have in this state over 900 law enforcement agencies. We are a local government state. We do not intend to tell the chief what to do or tell the mayor what to do, but we are here to help. And I think that is the proper role of the state of Ohio. When local law enforcement reaches out for assistance in fighting an increase in crime, one way we respond as a state is through a targeted, data-driven surge initiative. That surge initiative started here in Cleveland yesterday. It is not the first surge initiative that we have done in Cleveland, and I will guarantee you the last. What a surge initiative does is combine the work of state, federal, and local law enforcement agencies to send a concentrated influx of resources and personnel to known criminal hotspots. Look, we have to be smart about this. Cleveland Police Department has a good, very good system where they can pinpoint where the crime is and take it right down to the community level, to the street level. Taking advantage of that information and using that is an essential part of what we have to do. Here in Cleveland, 2 targeted crime reduction surge initiatives occurred last year, April and August, with very, very good results. At the request of the chief, we started another targeted surge initiative in reducing crime in the city yesterday. We will continue that. We will do it on days that we certainly will not announce what we are doing, but we are here to stay. This new initiative started yesterday and continues today in the 4th District, where the data shows that a great deal of the crime is happening. Additional surge events will take place in various parts of the city on unannounced days moving forward. During surge days, the Ohio State Highway Patrol troopers will increase traffic enforcement in and around criminal hotspots in the area. They'll work to support the Cleveland Police Department, the men and women of the police department who are out there fighting every single day. They will support them both on the street and from the air to help them identify and apprehend violent offenders and drug traffickers. Further, they will support local authorities with evidence processing and suspect interviews when that is needed. I want to put this in a little perspective. Again, we're a local government state. We have local police departments. But the state should be doing things that only the state can do. And to assist not only the Cleveland Police Department, but other law enforcement agencies throughout the state. And that has been the philosophy that I brought to this job. Since 2019, when I took office, we have done a number of different things. One, we stood up the state's Ohio Narcotics Intelligence Center, the first one. We launched this in 2019. We have an office that is located right here in Cuyahoga County. What we do is offer forensic evidence analysis on devices such as seized cell phones. We also provide intelligence gathering support as well to the local police departments when they ask us to do that. Let me mention that ONIC, as we call it, the investigative support, is available free of charge to any law enforcement agency in the state of Ohio. The Narcotics Intelligence Center has offices now in not only Cleveland, but also Columbus, Toledo, and Cincinnati. Let me go back to the surge events for a moment. During these surge events, our Ohio Investigative Unit will work to target liquor establishments that are known for illegal sales and that are also hotspots, that we have found are hotspots for drug trafficking as well as prostitution. The Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, our prison system, our parole system, will make extra unannounced visits to adults and youth who've been released from incarceration and are under supervision here in Cleveland. They will also keep a close eye on these individuals. They always do that, but during this initiative, our teams are giving them, let's say, extra attention. The first day of the surge yesterday was when our team zeroed in on this 4th district. The operation went well. The data I have is incomplete. I'll tell you what I do have. Law enforcement made 57 traffic stops, 20 felony arrests, confiscated 4 illegally possessed firearms, located 4 stolen vehicles, seized heroin, cocaine, crack cocaine, and other drugs. Our team also gave treatment referrals to 9 individuals who clearly were in need of recovery support. In 4 cases yesterday, our aviation unit in the air prevented dangerous pursuits of fleeing suspects. Each time when a trooper attempted a traffic stop or when the PD attempted a traffic stop, the driver sped away. But instead of chasing them, our patrol helicopters tracked the drivers from the sky and directed troopers on the ground about where to find them and where to arrest them. quite literally. They may run, but they cannot hide. Further, our Ohio Adult Parole Authority teams made contact with many individuals under the supervision. That led yesterday to 3 arrests and the recovery of several illegally possessed guns, as well as gun parts. Our goal in this initiative is to complement the other work that is going on, the work of the men and women of the PD, as well as U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott and his great team of U.S. Marshals. They are engaged in Operation 216, and I'm sure Pete will talk more about that as well. Let me again maybe pull back for a moment and look at this from the big picture. During our administration, we have invested about $26.5 million in the safety of Cleveland. The funding comes from various sources. It includes the $250 million in ARPA funds we've been awarding to law enforcement agencies all over the state. We made a decision along with the state legislature to take $250 million of ARPA funds and to direct them directly to local law enforcement agencies. We have, particularly for the news media, 2 handouts that you'll get in a moment that detail some of the funding and other state support available to law enforcement here and statewide. Again, I want to thank the legislature for providing, at our request, that money. They have been our partners on that. Our funding program follows our philosophy that local law enforcement, local chiefs, local sheriffs, local mayors should be making the decisions for their communities about how this money gets spent. Some of Cleveland's funding, for example, went to technology for its real-time crime center. I've actually seen this center. I've looked at it. It is quite amazing. Other law enforcement agencies use funding to set up hotspot policing details or invest in technology used in solving crimes. Again, we've left that up to the local departments. Separately, the Ohio Department of Youth Services has also given out dollars to help with justice-involved youth. And we had the opportunity to have a good conversation with Prosecutor O'Malley, with the chief, and others about more that we might be able to do in regard to our juvenile offenders. As you know, one of the things that we're seeing, not just in Cleveland, but across the state of Ohio, is the age of our offenders continues to drop, where we are seeing young people, 12, 13 years of age, who are involved in very, very, very serious crimes. I won't go through the whole list, but again, Cleveland is well represented. Cuyahoga County is well represented in the state Senate and the state legislature, and I thank them. Many of them are here today, but whether they're here today or not, they have been helpful. We've done this on frankly a bipartisan basis and made sure this money is available to local law enforcement. Let me just conclude by saying this is a work in progress. We don't have all the answers. Men and women behind you do not have all the answers. But what we do pledge to the people in Cleveland, and the people in the communities that have been hard hit by crime, we pledge that the state will stay involved. We will continue to do everything that we can. I know Pete Elliott, U.S. Marshal, will as well. And we will continue to work very, very closely with the mayor, council, with the chief. Let me now turn it over to Mayor Bibb, who we appreciate always having the opportunity to work with him. Since he's taken office, we have met a few times, but we've been on the phone a number of times besides that. And I think that is what the people of Cleveland and Ohio expect both of us to do. And we're going to continue that very, very close cooperation. Mayor?
Thank you, Governor. It's good to have you in the southeast side of Cleveland. As many of you know, last month our administration announced the RISE initiative, Raising Investment in Safety for Everyone, the city's most comprehensive violence reduction and law enforcement enhancement plan the city has ever seen. RISE is a portfolio of multiple strategic investments, partnership, enforcement efforts and advancements in technology. A key component of RISE are these partnerships. The partnership with the state we're here to talk about this afternoon. The partnership with the Ohio Highway Patrol is going to go a long way to reduce violent crime in our city. We're also excited to be partnering with the U.S. Marshals and the County Sheriff's Department as well too. All of these partnerships are focused on a couple of key things. One, additional traffic enforcement, extra patrols, investigator support, warrant sweeps, and hot spot targeting to reduce violent crime in our city. These partnerships already have yielded tangible results in the city of Cleveland. Just 2 days ago, the U.S. Marshals arrested 4 individuals, 2 of which had warrants for aggravated murder by the Cleveland Division of Police. Also, the number of registered cameras in our city's Safe Smart CLE program has tripled since we announced the expansion of that program last month. And already, because we expanded ShotSpotter in all 5 police districts, we have saved 6 lives, recovered 25 guns, and made 23 arrests. And next week, we're looking forward to some positive announcements with the head of the CPPA and FOP regarding additional investments in the men and women of our police department to address recruitment, retention, and deployment of safety officers all across the city of Cleveland. And first and foremost, I want to just thank Governor DeWine for his steadfast partnership. He's one of the first calls I got when I was elected in November of 2021. And every time I call the governor, he picks up the phone and offers more support to keep Cleveland safe and more support to keep Cleveland prosperous. So again, Governor, I'm thankful for your partnership. Just earlier this morning, I was doing a senior walk at the Michael Zone Rec Center, and Ms. Ruffner was talking about how excited she was about this press conference because she knows that U.S. Governor and I, as Mayor and the City Council, with this partnership, will be a little bit safer here in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Now I'll kick it off to Chief Wayne Drummond. Chief.
Other active and looking for those individuals that's wanted for homicide and also those who are drivers of violent crimes in our respective neighborhoods. We have the Ohio Investigative Unit, tremendous partnership with them. Of course, the State Highway Patrol, again, I can't stress enough, they come in whatever we call. Whenever we call, they've never said no. They bring up all their units, the aviation unit and so forth, and I just can't thank them enough. Their activity is tremendous. Working hand in hand with our officers, they've made several arrests. I won't repeat some of the stats that the governor gave you. That's the stats that they had working with our officers, coupled with the stats that our officers had relative to felony arrests. And by the way, some of those felony arrests that were mentioned before were for stolen vehicles, primarily the Hyundais and Kias. And here's a little tidbit. My mother lives right in the 3rd District. We're in the 4th District. My mother lives in the 3rd District, right off of 95th there, not very far from here. But she called me and she said, Wayne, I heard some helicopter helicopter and so forth. And she said, not only that, I saw a couple officers run through the backyard. And I said, Mom, don't worry about it. That's the State Highway Patrol. They're probably my officers as well as the State Highway Patrol. And she said she believed that they caught a couple of people. She saw a couple more officers in her backyard going through garbage cans and so forth, believing that potentially whoever they were chasing actually dropped either weapons or evidence, drugs, and so forth. So just to let you know, it affects folks. That's my mother, who's 80-something years old, who's calling me and talking about the enhancement that we have relative to our enforcement and our partnerships and so forth. Again, I can't stress enough the partnership, the collaborations of so many different agencies. Again, locally, statewide with our state patrol, locally with the sheriff department, Sheriff Patel, with their partnership, we're starting a patrol downtown with the sheriff department that's going to concentrate in the downtown area. That's going to be tremendous. You'll see a huge difference with that. And again, the key thing I keep mentioning here is partnership, collaboration. For us, it's a force multiplier. And we can't do it alone, no question about it. We need everyone's help. We need the general public's help. When they see something, say something. When you see something, say something. And we had a shooting not too long ago, and I'm sorry to say it was at a church. Not till about 2 Sundays ago. We had a shooting at a church where an individual came in. There was a confrontation. He ultimately was shot multiple times, I believe 3 times. What was troubling to me was that we did not receive a 911 call. Our call came from the shot spotter. That's where it came from. Based on that, our officers responded, found the victim, again, shot multiple times, and administered first aid until EMS got there to take him. So I believe there's a potential that our officers saved that individual's life. You heard the mayor talked about 6 instances so far where ShotSpotter was able to notify our officers responded and found victims, and we believe saved their lives. So that's the technology that we're using. So we need people to get involved. If they see something, say something, and give us a call, and let's come down here and take care of business. Next is going to be up is I'm honored to introduce Major Hendricks from the State Highway Patrol, again, for our partnership. Again, I can't say enough about the partnership with them. Just want to thank them publicly.
Great afternoon. Thank you, Governor DeWine, Cleveland Mayor Bibb, Cleveland Division of Police, Wayne Drummond, Prosecutor O'Malley, and U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott. I want to talk about 3 things this afternoon. I want to talk about how we measure success. 3 ways of how we measure success: effort, results, and impact. You heard everyone talk about behind me. They talked about the effort. When you talk about effort, you have to have the partnerships, the collaboration with the Cleveland Division of Police, and also our state, local, and federal partners, the prosecutor's office as well. We have to have that collaboration piece. That's the first one, the effort. What we've brought here to the table to assist our partners as well in the collaboration, you've heard about our aviation section. They're a risk mitigator. They're up right now. Matter of fact, if they're downlinking live on the screen at the command vehicle, they're broadcasting real-time information down to command officers that can actually see what they can see. The governor mentioned it earlier about we didn't have to engage in those pursuits. We were able to back off because those eyes in the sky were able to do that, to guide those ground units to those folks. So our aviation assets are here. Our vehicle theft and fraud unit, they're here. Our special response team, they're teamed up with our criminal patrol units. We have our Post 18 Cleveland units, also surrounding post units here as well. Our Ohio investigative unit, they're here to assist. All of us working together for one common mission as how we can accomplish things and tackle the problems. So the effort is all of us working together. The results, Governor DeWine talked about the results. What we saw last night, some of those numbers are still coming in. Stolen vehicles, weapons recovered, arrest of folks. Today as well, our folks have been at it this morning. Myself and the governor were airborne a few hours ago. At least 4 weapons recovered in the 40-minute flight that we were up. Next, so we have the results. I want to talk about impact. I have a few anecdotes I want to share. On April 22nd, 2022, the Euclid Police Department initiated pursuit after a suspect pointed a gun at a Cleveland police officer from a stolen vehicle. The Ohio State Highway Patrol's aviation unit located the vehicle, observed the suspect enter a residence, and officers responded and established a perimeter and successfully negotiated his surrender. On June 30th, 2023, agents observed suspects wearing ski masks in a stolen Audi at a liquor store. Our agents arrested all occupants who were suspects in multiple area armed robberies and recovered 2 illegal weapons, including an automatic pistol. So the effort, the results, and the impact, that's what we need to be successful. We have been here before, and we will continue to be here as long as we are needed. Through the governor, through the director, we are here to make an impact and here to make a difference. Next, if I can introduce U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott.
I don't think this microphone is working, correct? Is it working?
It's working.
All right, I thought it was not, but thank you for having me here today. You know, it's a great day when you're here with the greatest quarterback in Cleveland Browns history. And I'm not talking about Marty Sweeney, by the way. I'm talking about that man, a good friend of mine. Bernie's helped us a lot on missing child cases for the last couple of years, right, Bernie? So thank you for that. The Marshal Service, we're looking forward to this continued partnership with the Cleveland Police Department and my good friend Wayne Drummond. A partnership that we have had for many years, and also a partnership, we're looking forward to the partnership we have with the state troopers, deputy sheriffs, prosecutors, adult parole officers, and all members of the Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force. In this Operation 216, we will be focusing our efforts collectively to reduce violent crime, and for this operation, we will be tripling our resources. So I want to say that again, we're tripling our resources here in Northern Ohio. And we're additionally expanding by deputizing more Cleveland police officers and more deputy sheriffs to assist our Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force in its fugitive mission. We'll be focusing together on the most violent warrants here in the city for homicide, carjackings, aggravated assaults, and so on. We started this operation for us Monday, and since then, 2 days ago, good music, right? I love it. 2 days ago, we arrested 3 for murder, others for violent crimes, seized 7 firearms, including automatic weapons. The violence needs to stop in our city. We are not going away, and now we are going to be stronger and stronger than ever. Listen to this statistic, there are presently 220 incarcerated for murder in the Cuyahoga County Jail, according to our county administrator, and obviously more since Monday. 220 plus individuals incarcerated for murder alone. That is more than some graduating classes of high schools around our state. And I promise you, those numbers will do nothing but continue. The senseless violence needs to stop. And all of the leaders, every one of the leaders behind me here, standing here today collectively, are going to do everything in their power to make sure it stops. Our strength has always been in our partnerships together. Thank you. Introduce my good friend, our great prosecutor. He's been a tremendous prosecutor, a tremendous partner of ours in the Marshal Service, Mr. Michael O'Malley.
First of all, I want to take the time to thank Governor DeWine, Safety Director Andy Wilson, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Ohio Investigative Unit, Pete Elliott, wherever Pete just went, and the U.S. Marshals, who are our partners day in, day out, and also our new county sheriff. Yesterday was the first day where we had a surge of law enforcement personnel that led to more arrests. But make no mistake, our city and our county has to be able to protect itself. We can't rely on state assistance. It's great when we get it, but we can't rely on state assistance. The violence continues. Even with a surge yesterday, we had a 14-year-old murdered, a 19-year-old murdered. We had a shooting on Public Square. It has to take everyone in this community, every elected official, every assistance we can get from the state is greatly appreciated, but we have to be able to control this situation on our own. The situation with the Hyundais and Kias has gotten so far out of hand, it has exacerbated a horrible problem already. I urge Attorney General David Yost to file a class action to help Ohio with this problem. Since I became county prosecutor, we've had over 1,350 murders in our county. 83% of those individuals who have been murdered are African American. It's a horrible, embarrassing statistic. The only people who can stop that are the people within our own community. I'm urging all citizens to get involved, work with local law enforcement, and help us put an end to this madness, so we don't have another 14-year-old killed tomorrow. It has to end, but it can only end when we're all working together, in particular the people of our county. Thank you.
I'll be happy to take any questions.
Governor, Lydia Suarez from 3 News. Were you invited here, or were you keeping an eye on the situation here in Cleveland and decided to come on your own?
No. Legally, we can only come here if we're invited. We can go nowhere unless we're invited, and we were invited. And you know, look. This is there's two things we're talking about. I want to kind of be clear. One is the surge that started yesterday, and we will be doing this, and we're not going to, as we work with the PD, Cleveland PD, we're not going to obviously say when we're going to do it or where we're going to do it, but we will do that, and that will include air support as well. But the other help that we can give and are giving and have been giving is to have a big presence in the community of the Highway Patrol. The Highway Patrol obviously is out on the interstates. They're on all the roads, interstate highways that are leading into Cleveland, leading out of Cleveland, but also, you know, having them involved, again, working with the local police department, with the Cleveland Police Department, I think is very, very important. So that's something that's been going on. The commitment we make is we will continue that. We're going to push that as much as we can, and the other thing we'll do is we'll do the surges. But all of this has to be in very close cooperation with the police department, with the chief, with the mayor, and we have that kind of very, very good cooperation.
What is Bernie Kosar's role? He's here. He's the only non-cop person, really.
Bernie always makes us feel better, you know. Bernie's our hero. So.
Governor DeWine, you said you had surges before, you'll have them again. Surges before, surges again. What's to say you can't kind of have this level of collaboration?
You know, I'm not picking it up. Can you shout at me a little bit more? I apologize, but.
I know that you said you've had surges before, you'll have them
Yeah.
again. What's to say you can't kind of have this level of collaboration as standard procedure throughout the calendar year? It feels like you can sometimes play whack-a-mole during times of desperation.
Look, this is a high priority for us. We understand what is going on in Cleveland. We understand the tragedies. We understand the families whose hearts have been broken because they lost a loved one. They lost a child. Look, we get that. And so my order, not just to the Highway Patrol, to our parole authority, which is under the governor, as well as our DYS, Department of Youth Services, other parts of the Highway Patrol. You know, we have told them of the importance of this, and so we will stay on this. What we can't promise you is that every day we're going to have a helicopter up. You know, we're going to try to expand some of those things, and so that we can, you know, have more of them. But we are involved in other communities as well. But we get it. I get it. I understand what is going on in Cleveland, and I understand that we can play a role. As the prosecutor said, state can't solve all the problems. We don't pretend that we can, but we can help, and we intend to help, and we intend to stay involved, and we're not leaving.
I just want to add to that. Since last year, the governor and his entire administration have been very supportive of our efforts at City Hall and public safety on a number of different fronts. One, additional investments to expand and improve our real-time crime center. Additional investments regarding retention bonuses to help us attract and retain officers inside the Cleveland Division of Police. And so that partnership is ongoing. It will be ongoing, but now it's deepened given the heightened levels of violent crime we've seen in Cleveland over the last several months.
Governor DeWine or Chief Drummond, what will trigger a surge day? Do you think this will be like a weekly occurrence?
I would like to say yes. I'd like to have the state troopers here every day, every week. We analyze things. We have to be data driven. And I know State Patrol, they're data driven, so are we, using our analysts to find the hot spots. And then even further than that, we take that down to a microgrid area so we can concentrate in those particular areas. And having the state troopers come in really enhances our ability to actually saturate an area and provide as much resources in those areas to target individuals and remove them from our community. We are in talks with the state troopers to continue this on a sustained basis. Obviously, we can't have all the assets like this, but I don't want it lost that, you know, our partnership with the state troopers is continuous. We work with them almost daily to a certain extent, not at this level, but we work with them on a regular basis. Our traffic unit, Bureau of Traffic, they work with them on a regular basis, targeting certain areas. Their state routes are run through the city of Cleveland. The state troopers are here. We asked them to come in. They were gracious enough to come in and supply all the resources that you see here, including their air assets, which certainly is a blessing because we're able to go after individuals that may take off in a car, which they do on a regular basis, unfortunately. Having the state troopers up there, the eyes in the sky help us to be able to back off, so we're not pursuing these individuals. Once they stop, we're able to come in and hopefully make an arrest. So I would like to do this on a regular basis. We're in talks now with the state troopers to see when we can do that. We will not announce these big surges, but we will be hitting all the districts. And again, we're talking about hotspot areas and more specifically microgrid areas. So that's really down to the street level of targeting individuals and certain areas where we're having most of the violence.
Wayne, right now we're up 30% in crime and murders. Are you hoping to slow everything down with all these initiatives going on?
Absolutely, Lydia. That's part of it, absolutely. To tap it down and having the resources that we have available. State Patrol, again, Adult Parole Authority, having their partnership, and others as well that are not currently here that help us on a regular basis to tap that down. We have the ATF, FBI, and their task force officers who are targeting certain areas you just don't know about. Again, targeting and being laser focused and strategic in identifying individuals. And the individuals we're talking about are drivers of violence. These are trigger pullers that we're identifying down to the microgrid area, and we're removing them from the streets. So yes, our hope is that we have a sustained enforcement that will tap down the violence and push those numbers down, because we were on a torrid pace at one point relative to our homicide. But we're tapping that down. I think part of that obviously is the surge of the folks that you see back here with our partners. And we hope with that surge, sustained surge, that we'll be able to tap some of that violence down even more.
I may have misunderstood. Does that mean surge was just a Monday through Wednesday thing?
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Around for a while? Is there a deadline?
There is no deadline. That's important to understand. This is a continuation of partnership. It just happened that it's today and yesterday. And again, we're not going to announce the other surge dates or areas, but this is a continuation. And the key word again is sustained. We had a meeting several weeks ago where we had pretty much all our partners there, and I asked them, one of my big asks was, can we have sustained enforcement? They all said, without hesitation, absolutely, Chief. And this is what this is about. It's again through the Mayor's Rise initiative, is to make sure we have our partners, and you see them here, coming together and collaboratively targeting these individuals, targeting certain areas, and these are our hotspot areas. This is data driven, that's key. This is not just throwing a blanket out and hoping to catch folks. No, this is very surgical in what we're doing and identifying the areas, identifying the individuals that are trigger pullers, and pulling them out of our communities and pulling them out of communities for a very long time.
Governor DeWine mentioned how a lot of these criminals are getting younger and younger. How is this initiative going to help target that issue as well?
I think we talked about this yesterday. Yesterday, the county executive and myself and other key stakeholders in the community announced a sprint task force to address youth mental health. And the data shows you that over 2/3 of juveniles that have been involved in violent crime have at least one diagnosed mental health disability. Think about that for a second. 2/3 of all juveniles that have been involved in violent crime have at least one mental health diagnosis. And so that task force, along with our investments in out-of-school time programming for youth, are all about addressing the root causes of violent crime in our city. But today is about aggressive, tactical law enforcement to make sure folks know that if you commit crime in our city, we're going to hold you accountable.
That's right.
Yep.
A lot of those youth are also known to be victims of
Yes.
crime. So how do you address this differently when they're getting younger and they have also been victims and perpetrators or
Well,
alleged perpetrators?
as we talked about in the task force meeting yesterday, we need to make sure that those victims, but also the perpetrators, are getting the right behavioral health supports that they need as well. That's why we wanted to make sure for the first time in our city's history, we have trauma-informed social workers in all 22 of our rec centers across the city of Cleveland. And so it's going to take that kind of approach to address both the victims and those that have been involved in violent crime as well too. Yep.
Just to add something, when I took office in our first budget, we put money in to every school in the state in regard to mental health. It has been a big priority of our administration, not just young people, but adults as well. But look, we have a ways to go. Go back 60 years ago, John Kennedy signed the Community Mental Health Act. There was a promise made. We as a people have never really lived up to that promise. The promise was that not only young people, but everyone would have within their own community the help they need in regard to mental health. So we're making progress. We're moving forward. We're putting more resources than have ever been put forward in regard to that, not just to the schools, but into the communities. But we still certainly have a ways to go. And I think, as the mayor said, a surge and the effort we're making in regard to law enforcement is one thing. It's very, very, very important. But we also have to do the other things as well. We have to make sure that young people can read. We have to make sure that children who are born have a good birth weight. That we reach out to moms who are struggling. I mean, all of these things we have to do. And the fact that we're all standing here and talking about law enforcement and talking about arresting people today does not mean we can't do these other things too. And does not mean we will not do those other things. So we have to look at this from a holistic point of view. But it is intolerable, and we cannot, no society can stand and allow violent individuals, no matter what their age, to stay out into the community. So again, targeting those violent repeat offenders is what we absolutely have to do, and we have to remove them from the community. That is the only way these communities are going to be safe. Anybody else?
All right. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Governor. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bernie.
me take that?
That's cool.